Coming up today, more than 7 months after the first case was confirmed, South Korea declares a formal end to the MERS outbreak that killed 38 people. President Park Geun-hye received status report updates on her 24 key reform tasks. She welcomes the success of several, but urges lawmakers to pass some pending bills as soon as possible. Plus, heavy smog continues to linger over most of Korea, but the worst of it is forecast to blow over before Christmas Day. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello and welcome. It's 6 a.m. on Thursday, December 24th here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom and you're tuned in to our early morning edition of Arirang News. And we start this morning with some welcome health news for Korea. The country can now breathe a sigh of relief as it is officially a MERS-free zone after health authorities formally declared the outbreak over 6 hours ago. It closes the book on a nervy period which, at its height, had the entire country on edge. Won Ji-yeon starts us off.
Korea declared a formal end to the outbreak of Middle East respiratory syndrome at midnight Thursday, 7 months after the country's first case was confirmed. The Ministry of Health and Welfare said the decision follows guidelines set by the World Health Organization. The international body suggests an end of transmission can be declared 28 days after the last patient either fully recovers or dies. 28 days is also double the maximum incubation period for MERS. The country's last MERS patient, a man who had been suffering from cancer, died from MERS-related complications on November 25th. The ministry says it will continue to be on alert since new cases are still being reported in Middle Eastern countries. It also says it will improve its readiness to deal with such outbreaks in the future. Earlier this month, authorities lowered the country's alerts from yellow to blue, which is the country's lowest alert level. First confirmed on May 20th in Korea, the respiratory disease claimed 38 lives and infected nearly 190 people. During the outbreak, thousands of people were quarantined at home or in medical facilities to prevent secondary or tertiary infections. Won Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, never mind dreaming of a white Christmas. Most of us here in Korea are just hoping for a clear Christmas after days of heavy smog. It looks as though we will get our wish, however, from Christmas Day at least. In the meantime, today is going to be the heaviest concentration of pollution and fine dust we've seen over the past few days. People with asthma or other breathing difficulties are advised to wear face masks if heading out, and everyone should refrain from strenuous outdoor activities. Now, forecasters expect skies to clear from Christmas Eve evening tonight as a band of cold air sweeps across the nation, leaving us with much more comfortable conditions on Christmas Day. President Park Geun-hye has once again called on lawmakers to waste no more time passing a bunch of pending bills aimed at reviving the sluggish economy. She emphasized how they are crucial to improving the livelihoods of the people. Song Ji-sun tells us more.
President Park Geun-hye chaired a meeting on the progress of her administration's key reform tasks. The goals were laid out at the start of the year and involve a range of things from making strategic use of free trade deals to establishing a channel of cooperative exchanges with Pyongyang. President Park noted the achievements made, such as the restructuring of pension plans for public workers and the completion of a national network of innovation centers aimed at supporting startups. She also renewed her call for lawmakers to pass a slew of pending economic reform bills, saying that legislation related to people's livelihoods is not a right but a duty of the National Assembly.
노동개혁은 우리 청년들의 생존이 달려있는 문제인 만큼 어떤 이유로도 정쟁의 대상이 될 수 없고 정략적 흥정이나 거래의 수단이 되어서도 안 됩니다. 만약 국회의 비협조로 노동개혁이 좌초된다면 역사의 심판에서 벗어날 수 없게 될 것이라고 생각합니다.
The major labor reforms, including the adoption of a wage peak system and flexible work hours at public organizations, are aimed at creating more jobs for young people. Korea's youth unemployment rate hovered at over 8% in November, with about 1 in 5 people between the ages of 15 and 29 have given up looking for a job and are reportedly not employed in school or in training. Ordinary citizens and working-level officials also attended Wednesday's meeting to offer their ideas for next year's policies. 송지선, Arirang News.
Now, Korea's rival parties are showing a mixed reaction following a big ruling by the Constitutional Court. On Wednesday, it dismissed a complaint over a clause in a 1965 Korea-Japan treaty that says all issues of compensation to victims of forced labor during Japan's colonial rule of Korea are settled. The ruling Syrian party refrained from issuing an official comment, saying the government has yet to form a judgment on the matter. In a phone interview with Seoul-based Cheonan news agency, party spokesman Lee Jang-woo added that there hasn't been a formal discussion within the party over an issue that needs to be reviewed in depth. The main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy spokesperson said it was regretful the constitutional appeal was dismissed after sitting in court for such a long time. Now, North Korea continues to maintain that it was not responsible for the torpedoing of a South Korean warship 5 years ago that killed 46 South Korean sailors. However, it has emerged that there could have been a piece of evidence to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that Pyongyang was responsible, but it couldn't be used because it wasn't preserved well enough. Kim Hyun-bin reports.
On March 26 of 2010, a North Korean submarine fired a torpedo and sank South Korea's warship Cheonan off South Korea's west coast near Paekmyeongdo Island. In the aftermath of the incident, a team of international investigators recovered a torpedo fragment from the wreck, which had an inscription saying number 1 in Korean language. The international team concluded that this inscription was a key piece of evidence that proved North Korea was behind the attack.
The number 1 sign on the back had been etched in Korean, in a format used in the north, and coincides with Pyongyang's torpedo that we had previously secured. This signifies that the recovered torpedo fragment was made in North Korea.
But this crucial piece of evidence has started to rust due to a lack of proper preservation methods.
The torpedo fragment is preserved at the DoD's Criminal Investigation Command, but it's true that the number 1 inscription is fading.
North Korea has denied any involvement in the sinking of the Cheonan, despite the evidence found by the international team of investigators. The Defense Ministry said on Wednesday that it has been banned from assessing the recovered evidence, as there was a trial in progress. This in turn resulted in corrosion and other damage. The trial involved a defamation suit against Shin Sang-chul, who published online that the sinking of the Cheonan was orchestrated by the South Korean government in order to blame it on North Korea. Shin has been sentenced to 3 years in prison for libel, and his final trial is scheduled for January 25th. The Defense Ministry says it will continue to discuss ways to preserve the evidence with the prosecutor in charge and have its damage prevention request addressed. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Now, Russia says it has launched more than 1,000 airstrikes at terrorist targets in Syria over the past 6 days alone. Russia's Defense Ministry spokesman said on Wednesday the Russian jets conducted 302 sorties and hit 1,093 targets in 5 Syrian provinces between December 18th and December 23rd. He said the air campaign has been effective, destroying a training camp, a command post, as well as several oil stores and tanker trucks that belong to the Islamic State group. The spokesman dismissed allegations by Amnesty International that Russian airstrikes have killed more than 200 civilians over the past 2 months. He said the claims were groundless. A new survey has shown that a majority of US voters oppose accepting Syrian refugees into the country. A Quinnipiac University poll released on Wednesday found that 51% of Americans oppose refugees entering the US, while 43% are in favor of the policy. 3/4 of Democrats said they would accept Syrian refugees, while 8 in 10 Republicans said they should be blocked from entering the US. The poll comes as President Obama is planning to accept at least 10,000 Syrian refugees over the next year. The poll also asked Americans whether they supported sending ground troops to fight the Islamic State group in Iraq and Syria. 52% supported the idea, while 40% opposed such a plan. The European Union has been overwhelmed this year by the influx of refugees escaping war and political persecution in the Middle East and North Africa. Now, Korea isn't overly affected by that, but to help the international community in another region, Korea is experimenting with a trial resettlement program for refugees from Myanmar. Oh Soo-young has this report.
Korea has welcomed 22 refugees from Myanmar seeking a fresh new start after spending up to 19 years at a transit camp in Thailand.
We couldn't move around freely within the refugee camp, so living there was difficult. We're grateful to have come to Korea. We came hoping for a better environment and better education for our children.
4 families arrived in the country on Wednesday at Incheon International Airport. And they're the first beneficiaries of Korea's pilot resettlement program introduced earlier this year. Through various screening procedures, the candidates were selected in July by the Justice Ministry with help from the United Nations Refugee Agency. The refugees will be granted a long-term residency status, and to help them adjust to life in Korea, they will reside at the Incheon Immigration Center to receive a year-long resettlement education such as job training and Korean language courses. After the year is up, they will relocate to designated regions with the help of local NGOs and religious groups to make the transition smoother. In collaboration with the UN Refugee Agency, Korea's refugee resettlement program aims to bring over 30 refugees from Myanmar every year up to 2017 on a trial basis. In the last 12 years, Korea accepted some 522 refugees, and if this pilot program is successful, it may open the doors for more resettlements. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Now, another Korean baseball player has signed with a Major League Baseball team. Outfielder Kim Hyun-soo has joined the Baltimore Orioles, becoming the first Korean player to join the league as a free agent. For more on Kim and his fellow countrymen plying their trade in the biggest league of them all, Lee Ji-won reports.
Korea's hitting machine Kim Hyun-soo has put pen to paper on his 2-year contract with the Orioles and is all set to go. He's the 3rd Korean player to go stateside this year and will be one of 5 Korean players in the MLB next year. Ryu Hyun-jin was the first Korean player to ever join a MLB team through posting. In December 2012, Ryu was signed to a 6-year $36 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Kang Jong-ho was next, signing a 4-year contract worth $11 million with the Pittsburgh Pirates at the beginning of 2015. And Park Byung-ho joined the Minnesota Twins earlier this month on a 4-year deal worth $12 million. The famous choo-choo train Chu Shin-soo of the Texas Rangers joined the team from the minor leagues. Experts say there are a number of reasons why more Korean players have been scouted by MLB teams in recent years.
The Korean Baseball League is now more widely recognized around the world. Korea's national team also had some good results in international competitions such as the Olympics, the World Baseball Classic, and the recent Premier 12.
With MLB teams scouting the KBO players significantly more this season, and considering the success of Korean players abroad, experts predict that more will join the big leagues in the near future.
MLB teams are always hungry for good players, so they will continue to search for gems like Ryu Hyun-jin and Kang Jong-ho. Also, it's natural for any sportsman to dream of playing in the big leagues, not just for the huge money and respect they get, but also it's because where the best players play.
Experts say that now is the time for Korea's best baseball players to show the world what they've got on the biggest stage of them all. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
Well, those are stories we have for you on this Christmas Eve morning here in Seoul. If we don't see you, have a wonderful and Merry Christmas and New Year, of course. And for more of the latest news, you can check out our website just by going to arirang.com/news. Goodbye.